It's interesting. We seem to romanticize the things that we don't have in our life. The universe isn't just out there, it's interacting with you. This is Tracy Talks, and I'm here to ignite your curiosity. Don't just listen, embrace it. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram at more Tracy Talks. We can have amazing things in our lives. We can have an amazing job. We can have an amazing partner. We can have wonderful situations in our life. And yet I find it interesting that we still can romanticize the things that we don't have. Like a partner. We can have the most wonderful person in our life, and yet we are fascinated and enchanted by other people to the point where we romanticize aspects and qualities about someone else. We imagine what it would be like to be in a relationship with someone else. We seem to get bored with things in our life. I find that curious. I find that curious that we can have some amazing circumstances in our life, and yet we still look outside for a new spark, new excitement, new energy, something to spice up the everyday, instead of valuing what we have already in our life. When I started out on this spiritual quest to know myself more, to understand who I was, and there was a searching and a longing and something that I was looking for. There was a hole that I was trying to fill. I was in a place where my circumstances were pretty good, yet something felt missing. And so I started down this spiritual path. And I almost romanticized that process, that journey, that quest. It was unknown. It was different. There was the potential there for something new, something exciting, something that intrigued me. And there was a romantic quality about it. There was no guarantee that I was going to be fulfilled, intrigued, enchanted. There was no guarantee that I was going to find myself at the end of the journey. But certainly in my mind, I had created this imagined romantic experience. And romance just isn't necessarily in the love context here, but it's like putting something out there as if it is this most amazing experience. And it's like, when everything aligns and the angels sing and it's just beautiful and it's just amazing. That is how I am describing this romance. And while I don't believe that my circumstance was the best place for me, there were other underlying issues that we had significant belief differences on. I will admit that I was looking for a distraction. I was looking for something to pull me away. I was looking for something else to enchant me, intrigue me. And I think that we can easily do that in our life, that there are periods in our life where it's not an amazing part of the journey. We're not out exploring. We're not having fabulous vacations, that sometimes our life is just about the day to day, and it's about getting through the day. And sometimes the communication between people isn't the best and the situation isn't the best. And that isn't romantic. That isn't enchanting. And it's easy at times to look outside of the day to day for stimulation, for excitement, something else or someone else that is going to spark excitement and newness into our life. And that's not always what happens, because we can follow that rabbit down the rabbit hole. We can chase the new, we can chase the exciting, we can chase the unknown. Because with that unknown there's potential. There's potential for more love. There's potential for more joy, for more happiness, for more excitement. And that's not always the guarantee. That's not the reality. And maybe instead of chasing this unknown dream, unknown potential, this unknown variable out there that we're looking for, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel, how can we look at the life that we have and fall in love with it again? I can name experience and situation after situation of where I was almost expecting the other person to ignite something in me. I was expecting the job, the situation, the experience to ignite me, to bring passion, to bring purpose. And that's just not the case. I have to understand what ignites me. I have to be the one to know what that is. I have to be the one who turns on the switch. It's so easy to look at someone else's circumstance. It's so easy to look at someone else and think that that situation is going to be better, that it's going to solve the problem, that it's going to be the answer. And unless we have explored every single option in the circumstance that we already have, that other situation is not as glamorous as it is portrayed. It rarely ever turns out the next experience is better. But we're pretty good at it. We're pretty good at looking at somebody and thinking, wow, I bet you that's just amazing. Life would be so amazing if I just had that. But sadly, that's oftentimes just a dream. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram at More Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.